It's time for the Northwoods Cooking Show. Starring Uncle Roy and Miss Callie, the troublemaking dog.
Hello and welcome to the Northwoods Cooking Show. I'm your host, Uncle Roy, and today in the kitchen we're going to be making castolantine di manzo brassate, which is beef short ribs in a red wine. And we got to start out right away with reducing our wine. Now you just need they say you can use any type of red wine. If it's good for drinking, it's good for cooking. You just don't want to get a real cheap red wine that's going to take and destroy your food and make everything taste like vinegar. You know what I mean? So you want to get a good drinking wine that's reasonably priced for yourself. If you want to spend more on an expensive one, then that stuff totally up to you. Now what did I get? A Frontera. And it's a Merlot. So there we go. So what I want to do is get this off first. I know a friend of mine, Chris, he's a wine expert. He's probably watching me laughing his rear end off. So this recipe is going to be making approximately 3 pounds of beef ribs, of short ribs. You can double the recipe if you get 6 pounds, because I'm taking and I'm reducing the recipe. I'm cutting the original recipe in half. So I don't need to cook all that amount of food for myself. Anyway, so you got a bottle of red wine. And we're going to cook this off and reduce it. So we only need about half a bottle instead of a full bottle. And we're going to, which is approximately 2 cups. There we go. And then we'll just bring that to a boil and then reduce it to about a cup. Okay, next we got I've got 2 cups of hot chicken stock. Now this is my own stock that I made from boiling off chickens and stuff long ago. I had the freezer, whatever, boom, boom, boom. There you go. Like I said before, if you had extra stock, you can just keep it in bags. But I'm going to take now this. I like mushrooms, and so I want a lot. Recipe only calls for about half of this much, not even that. But I'm going to use up the whole thing, otherwise the mushrooms are going to just spoil on me. So I'm going to use the whole thing, and I'm putting in the full 2 cups of stock. This is a titch more. And we're just going to let this sit for the mushrooms to absorb the chicken stock. And let this sit for about 20 minutes. We want all the flavors to marinate together, mushrooms to soak it up. And then we can take and go on to our next step here. Next we're going to take and start browning our ribs. Now I want to put this on a medium, about medium heat, not medium high. We don't want to burn them. So we're just going to take and brown the ribs on all sides. And you got like about a quarter cup of oil. I should be able to do this whole batch in just one. But now, like I said, recipe, double it for serving 6 people, 6 pounds. Okay, so now let's get my ribs out here. And I'm just going to place my ribs in the pot. You can just use a large bowl too if you want for this part. Because I'm just going to take and completely cover them generously with salt and pepper. And if I just do that individually, it's going to take forever and it's just a mess and you don't get them all covered completely. So I'm just going to pour in a generous amount of salt. And I'm using the kosher salt because that's granule, it's larger. It's going to cling to the meat more. And then the pepper. And now this way I can just toss these right in the bowl. In the roaster. So they get covered up all over. And then we can just take these over to our pan and we'll just take and start frying these. Now all we want to do is just brown and sear them on all sides. So while this is browning, then I can do those and then we'll be right back. That's all cooking, reduced and browned. Now I need about a 3/4 cup of shredded carrots. And we can take and pull our meat out of the pan, and I'll place that back into the roaster. Look good, don't it? You know who'd be drooling if they were here right now? She'd be right at my feet here, and there'd be a big puddle on the floor. She'd be drooling over this. You know she would. What are my samples? Okay, now we can put this back on the heat. Now I want to take some of this oil and fat out because I only need approximately a tablespoon left behind. And there's a lot of fat in here. And put that back on the heat. So then that in here now we put in, well, a little, as much as you want, but I'm putting in about 3 slices of bacon You can use pancetta if you want to, if you have it. Just kind of about a quarter cup is what you want of meat of the bacon or pancetta. Like that, and let's see. Then we have the about a 3/4 cup of shredded carrots. That's all going in there too. Along with a sprig of rosemary. Throw that in there. And I'm doing about I got about a teaspoon, hefty teaspoon of marjoram leaves. And about a 1/4 teaspoon of ground cloves. A wooden spoon. Ooh, that rosemary smells wonderful. I love the smell of that fresh rosemary. Now that bacon is going to render down, so that's going to add more fat to that. Otherwise, you could just use a little bit more of your drippings and add to that. But we're going to cook this down for about 3 or 4 minutes. Oh, and I also need 1 large onion. And this, we can cut into medium diced pieces. Or large. You don't want it excessively large, like a shish kebab, but big enough pieces so that it will cover up your meat on your plate rather than being disintegrated, is what I'm trying to say. So you want it on the larger side, but not extremely, you don't want shish kebab size. Like a medium to a large. And I'm just doing that, browning this off. I'm going to put on just a titch more of my reserved fat. It's just drying out a little bit. Love the smell of everything. Whoa. Okay, I'm just gonna let that simmer for about a minute or 2, and then we'll be right back. Then we're going to be adding a can of tomato paste. And we'll add this now and stir this together. And we'll just wait until that tomato paste turns slightly dark. And that should just take about a minute or two. Yeah. And the onions and bacon are coming around just fine. Now before the carrots, you can probably do the bacon and onions first and then add your rest of the ingredients after they were sauteed for a couple minutes. This helps fry them up quicker. Okay, that's getting brown. Now I'll take and put in the reduced wine. And we want to mix this all together so that tomato paste and wine start making a sauce. And I'm going to put that off this for a minute or two so we can get our mushrooms. Now I'll just pour it off into the sieves. We can save the mushrooms and the juice because we need about a cup of the juice. Ooh, ooh, ooh. And then you can see there's, grit and dirt and stuff in the sieve here from the mushrooms. And then we can just roughly chop these up. Just big old chunks. You want to have pieces so that when we serve it, the rib has chunks of vegetables on there in the sauce, and you don't want that all pureed out. Alrighty. Now I'll put the mushrooms in. And along with about a cup of our mushroom juice. That gets poured in there. Woo, getting hot in the kitchen with the lights. And stirs this sauce all around. Ooh, that's looking good. Almost reminds me of what you used to call that? Not country sauce. Woodsman, country woodsman, something like that. I know they used to serve that with prime rib. Woodsman sauce? I can't remember now. They used to have it down at the 90s. The head chef there used to cook it all the time. Oh, was that ever good? But this is what reminds me of it. Okay, now we got all that. We can take and put our ribs in our pot roast here on our roaster so that everything's all packed in there. And then we'll just pour the sauce over the ribs. Oh. That's how I don't burn myself. Mm-hmm. Fill in all the cavities there. Don't have it overpouring. We don't want it to spill out into the oven and cause a mess. But just in case, I'm gonna put a baking sheet underneath it just to catch any drippings in case it should boil. Okay. Yo. Got a couple of pieces in here. I'm gonna save all the corny crumbs. Yeah. Get all those good pieces in there. Give it great flavor as these cook. All right. Now. Okay, so now we got this covered, and we're gonna put this in the oven for about 2.5 to 3 hours, or until the ribs are tender. And you can just test that with the sharp end of your paring knife, and just poke in there and see if the ribs are nice and tender. And then we'll come right back when dinner is ready. When the Cosalatine di manza brassata, beef short ribs in red wine. Okay, and just before we stick it in the oven, we need 1 large and 1 small can of the whole plum tomatoes. I forgot that part. Ooh. And we can just take and crush the tomatoes up. Actually, you can just do that by hand. You see Lydia does that all the time in her show, crush them by hand. She's got short little fingers. So you can do that easily. I got arthritis. There we go. Or you can just take your immersion wand and, well, no, you want to do immersion wand because then you're going to blend up all your vegetables. Best do this by hand. If you want to put on gloves, go ahead. There we go. And I didn't have enough room in my pot. I transfer this into my Dutch oven. And hopefully we'll have enough room in this. Hopefully. Ooh. Splatter. And I think we will. Yep. Just barely. Room to spare. Not much. Because now we're going to put this I can put this whole thing right in the oven. Or, actually, we can put this right on the stovetop too, since I have it in the Dutch oven. And that way, I don't have to heat the oven up and, heat up the house. It's almost like one of the hottest days of the summer, just in case you're wondering. Not as humid as it was the other day. Oh my Lord, it was just so hot and humid here in Minneapolis. Oh my God. And I told you about the rainstorm. Oh. But after that, it was just like, whew, sauna time. So we can just put this on a low to, let's see, make sure I get the front, low to medium heat, and just let this cook away. And that should take about 2.5 to 3 hours. And as it reduces and as it boils away, if you need to add more juice, we still have some of this reserved mushroom liquid left. We can just put that in there too. So you just don't want it to dry out is what I'm saying. But you want to keep the moisture in there, keep the liquids in there, and I want to keep the chunky vegetables in there. I don't want to put my immersion wand in there and puree everything. I don't want to, pure sauce, but we can do that at the end. But for now, I like the chunkiness of everything to be in there. And got the cover. And make sure too, which is so easy to forget, a lot of people do, spray your covers. That's a good hint, because the rim around the top here, when you cook and stuff like this, it gets just encrusted with sauce. And it's so hard to keep those clean, or to clean them, excuse me. You know what it's like. I don't want to say you mothers or housewives, but predominantly we're the ones that do you're the ones that do the cleaning. I remember Mom saying that all the time. At least spray the pan if you're going to cook something. You're not more clear than that. So anyway, that's just a good tip to do that, and I always do that too on my crock pots. Spray around the edges, it makes it easier to clean. So we'll just let this simmer and continue cooking, and then we'll be right back.
And this is our Costo Latine di Manzo Brassate, which is the short ribs in a red wine sauce. I threw on a little mashed potatoes, put on the little gravy there. It's wonderful dinner. Can't wait to dig in for this. So from the Northwoods Cooking Show, I also want to say, Tutia Tavola Mangiare, which means let's go to the table and eat. Eat healthy, be safe, and spread the sunshine. Bye-bye.